Welcome. It's the Close the Deal show. I'm your host, Terrence McCray, rebranding myself from incarceration. Every week we bring you business tips, information, and insight from entrepreneurs, business professionals, and inspired individuals from the San Francisco Bay Area and from Los Angeles County area. The Close the Deal show is all about featuring public announcements as well as small business owners and Entrepreneur Week. And this week we're going to be talking about a nonprofit, someone who has had the experience working in nonprofit but decided to take matters into his own hand and create his own nonprofit. So we're going to talk about building capital for a nonprofit and what that struggle looks like. And every week you can learn new strategies to help you in business or educate the public. So right now you're in the right place. Thanks for joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen of the Close the Deal show, please welcome my guest, Mr. Nate Williams. Nate, how are you?
I'm great. How you doing, brother?
I'm good as well. So, I've heard a lot about you, but at the same token, I've been seeing a lot of tremendous work you've been doing, not only in the community, but within yourself. Could you give my viewers a little understanding about what brought you to do nonprofit?
What brought me to do nonprofit is that I'm one of the first juveniles in the state of California that was tried as an adult. So I experienced a lot of trauma in my life that was undealt with as a youth, at an adolescent, and I was sentenced to 25 years of life and did 32 years. And within those years, I really discovered, those traumas that I was dealing with. I dealt with them, and I was able to heal myself. And they say heal people, hurt people, heal people, heal people. So I was able to heal myself as well as come back to my community and be a product of my community and help my community instead of being the negative influence that I was before I went to prison.
You said you did 32 years?
I did 32 years straight prison. I'm one of the first juveniles that was tried as an adult. I was only 17 when I was committed to the California Youth Authority, and psychs and psychiatrists was saying it was wrong 40 some years ago because the adolescents' brains are not developed till you 24, 25.
So you got to tell me, how did you keep your insanity under those circumstances? Because I know what that experience is like, but I wouldn't have never, by just looking at you, thought you did 32.
Yes, everybody say that. It was a struggle within the prison system because I was young, but it was a lot of older gentlemen inside that took me under the wing and like guided me. And I couldn't really read and write when I was in prison. The older guys used to give me books, taught me how to read, taught me how to do essays, and basically I grew up as a man inside prison. And it was a struggle, but I fell in love with reading books. And one book which would really help me change my life was by Naeem Akbar. It was called Breaking the Psychological Distance of Slavery. Once I read that book, it was like all the stuff I was doing in my past. It was like Malcolm X, before he became Muslim. All the lifestyle he was living, I was living similar as he was living. And that book is by another black man that's a psychiatrist. So in order for me to understand myself, this black man, through books, just reading, was able to bring light into the cell I was in and just open my eyes and my spirit and everything. It changed me.
In what way did it change you?
It changed me because he talked about, he go all the way back to how America was discovered and bringing the slaves over here and creating divisions, house Negroes, field Negroes, and today we still live by those, but a lot of us that's unconscious don't realize, media plays a part in how we react to each other, music, and people in general. But if you're not conscious, you cannot understand what society is really made of. And America has always been about money. It's always going to be about money, and that's what we're going through right now.
So, and that's what it takes to build a nonprofit. So, how did you learn how to accept, things for what they were in order for you to put yourself in a position to become, a leader, an advocate, towards the not justice system, but towards the youth. You know, what steps in, what tools did you acquire from books that help you say, you know something, if I ever get the opportunity to get out, you know, what you were going to do to make that difference?
It was Coastline Community College. I was going through college while I was in prison. We didn't have a lot of money in prison, so about 5 of us used to put our money together just to buy one book, and it was a correspondent college course that military people use, and I used that as a way of really understanding like business, psychiatry, psychology. It introduced me to the introductions of everything in life that I didn't know nothing about. Once I passed my GED, I was able to enroll in college, and once I went to college, it was like my world was open to knowledge, and the knowledge that I received there prepared me for the real world out here. You know.
So it sounded like all you had to do was just be given that opportunity.
Exactly.
So prior to that, what led you to the streets?
What led me to the streets was my father being an alcoholic. He used to abuse my mom all the time. I always woke up, it was me and my sister. She's like 2 years younger than me. We always woke up to him beat my mom or the police in the house, a lot of trauma. And when I was 8 years old, the last words my father told me was, be the man of the house, take care of your mom, your sister. Him and my mom migrated from Alabama to Compton. So he was going back to where he was from, Alabama. And I thought, you know, he didn't love me, and I rejected him because I didn't understand what divorce meant at 8 years old. I just knew my father was leaving me, and I felt he didn't care or love for me. So I personalized it, and I hated him. And when he left, I looked at my community because I didn't know what a man was. I thought he was the man. But when he left, it was like, okay, I'm confused. Okay, what is a man? Okay, in my neighborhood, there was a lot of negative influences, and some of these were gang members, which I was attracted to their lifestyle of the lowriders, the drugs, the girls, and all that. I was attracted to, and I became that, thinking that that's what a man was. But once I got into it, it wasn't what I thought it was. But I couldn't get out because I didn't want to become a victim of my community. So I put on a mask like everybody else and lived that life until I was caught up in the system.
So after you made your transformation to who you are today, what were the 3 business principles that you developed in order to surround yourself around nonprofits, but to get yourself in the door to be able to tell your story, but tell it in a way where it's not about just so much profiting, but where you could be able to take care of yourself and still give back? What were those 3 principles?
So what happened to me when I came out of prison, I was like exploited. I was exploited and used because of my story, and I didn't realize it until I was put in positions where we would go to places and speak, and then after we speak, we would go be presented in front of these other people, and these other people will be telling this person like, wow, all these gentlemen have powerful stories. What can I do for you? And these people was giving this person a lot of money, and this person was giving us, like slave wages, and coming out into the reentry programs. They're not designed for people like us that's been locked up a long time. So I didn't want nobody to go through that system what I went through, and I thought of ways of what way can I improve the system, and it was to start my own nonprofit, to start my own reentry, to start a business, to hire, to empower, to house people like me coming out.
So I've also been through that type of experience where people don't understand that, it's okay for you to call upon someone to, share his story and his experience. Not so much just for you to get new donors as well as donations, but people have to realize that when someone has been formerly incarcerated and you need their support, that they do have responsibilities and bills to pay, just like that person who's organizing these events. So the 3 principles that I'm looking for my viewers to understand, because there may be someone who's just like you that was formerly incarcerated, right? Has this wonderful vision of giving back to the youth, but he or she may not be able to take those steps because they don't know which direction to go in. So when you came up with your vision, what kept you grounded?
What kept me grounded was being one of the first juvenile trials as an adult. Um, there was things that I didn't understand, but that were offered to me. Like Alameda Probation had came out with a capacity building opportunity, and I signed up for that capacity building. And the capacity building that Alameda Probation provided had all the answers, had all of the steps towards starting your nonprofit, how to run an organization from being an executive director to starting your board, to having grant writers, to doing fundraisers, everything you need to know about nonprofits. I was I was taught from Alameda Probation, and they gave me a $5,000 stipend for just going through the training.
So on your Facebook page, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does that say?
Is there a new way?
Explain that.
Is there a new way? Is like the old ways of my lifestyle, and people that's like me was going to jail, like sort of like the rites of passage, and coming home and continuing doing the same thing. I spent 32 years in prison, so I've heard every story you can think of to be slick, to do a hit a lick and get away with, and none of them has worked. Everybody I watched for 32 years said they was going to go out and do something wrong, whatever it was. They all came back in that year, that day, whatever. So I knew that wasn't for me. It had to be a new way. It had to be a new me. I didn't want to go back to none of my old ways, my community, none of that. So instead of going back to Compton where I was raised, I paroled up to Northern California where nobody knew me.
Did you feel uncomfortable when you paroled here?
I felt uncomfortable at first, but once I was able to get out, and these cell phones really made it easier because you can put in addresses and navigate yourself anywhere you want to go. So up here in Northern California, it's been like an adventure for me. Every day, I go places that's new, places I've never been. When I'm in LA, I know where everything, I've been everywhere possibly to go in LA. Northern California is like I said, it's like a journey, like an adventure every day to experiment, to explore.
So one of the things that I find interesting is the fact that you didn't give up, because of the challenge that you were facing doing all that years of incarceration. But the challenge was coming back out here into a new society, and the world has changed. Life has went on, and it doesn't seem like you feel bittersweet about the situation. But what really inspires me is the fact that you want to continue to give back. So for the amount of time that you spent away from society, right, how did you find yourself realizing that your life being out here was negative? So now that you're back out here, why do you want to make it so positive in a way that you want to teach people how to do business, but how to make sure that they don't harm others the way you did? Why?
It's part about my relationship with God, because I took another human being life, and I feel today if anybody should have died, it should have been me. I didn't have the right to go do what I did to that person 30-some years ago. And my family can enjoy me out here. I have a second chance at life. But that person, my survivor of this crime, can't. And that's part of the reason why I do what I do, because I want to wrong my rights. I want kids to not go through what I did. And I feel like this is what I can contribute back to society what I started. I was one that was joined into the gang, and I was one that brung other people into gang eventually. So I'm doing the opposite now. I'm trying to get them out and trying to give them jobs, trying to get them in school, trying to show them a life and show them that if I can change, anybody can change.
So, what projects are you working on now to get your message out there and for other nonprofits as well as other government agencies to recognize the work you're doing in the community? Do you have an office?
No, I don't have an office, address office, but I'm in Oakland, I'm in LA. I have office space with other nonprofits. I network with them.
Okay. So, would you like to have your own office? Is that a goal?
That is one of my goals, to have my office space, definitely.
And how would you go about explaining to potential donors what you would utilize this office space for?
I would utilize this office space for mentoring. I have a lot of clients on my case that I go to their house, or I meet them at Starbucks or somewhere. I can have them come into my office, and I really want to hire juveniles as well. So my idea will also be to put out there that these juveniles that I deal with in juvenile hall as well as California Youth Authority, that when they come home, I would like to be able to send them to truck school or send them to some type of training where they can get some type of skills. That's another long-term goal that I have, which we'll talk about later. But I basically want a place for anybody to come out of jail, whether they're juveniles, whether they're adults, to come mentor, to come provide care packages, whatever they need. If they need a resume did, I want to help them do that. Take them to get their IDs, whatever it is. I think an office space will be real needed for these type of individuals coming out.
So, have you made a proposal to any of the probationary departments or the California rehabilitation?
Well, not those, but I have a funder right now that's looking at me. A lot of funders are looking at me. They're just now realizing me. And part of my ask, and one of them asked for money, was to partner with somebody else, because the rents for most of these places is outrageous, and I don't have a high budget. So I was like to maybe even go half on a building with somebody, $600, $800 a piece, something like that. An ideal place if I can't get my own place.
So you do have a curriculum in which it would, be useful in your vision.
Yes, my curriculum is called Path to Restoration. It's a program that I run at High Desert. I'm one of the first formerly incarcerated to receive a CDCR grant to go back inside to teach, and it's called my program is called Path to Restoration, and it deals with undealt with trauma, micro, macro, gang, peer pressure, society. A lot of these things fit into what I teach about, identifying the trauma that we've been through as adolescents or even as adults.
So you are currently in High Desert State Prison.
Yes, I'm in High Desert every Monday and Tuesday, as well as 12 other prisons with other organizations.
And what other organizations are those?
Place for Grace, which Place for Grace is ran by Karen McDaniels. They run two programs. One is a literacy program, which they take books inside, and the fathers can read, and they record them, and they take the recording and the book and send it to the kid. The other book, which is that what you have, the other program is that what you have right there, which is a camp program for these kids. It's a 5-day camp program where the kids can go inside the prison with their dads, and the whole duration is based on art, and just like you had this banner here, they're given a sheet like this, and their whole plan is to vision or to show society what would it be like if their dads were out in society. What would it be like? So some might put, they would take a pictures of their face, the mugshots, and they'll put it on the paper, whatever, and then the fathers and the kids can actually design what their dream will be. Some might have 49er playing football or on a motorcycle, whatever it is they wanted. And then we'll take these murals, life-size murals, to the community and show them exactly what we're doing in these prisons.
So, what is your dream looking like 6 months from now?
6 months from now, I would like to have 2 dump trucks, Super 10 dump trucks, to hire people to not only pay them good money. I don't want to just pay a person minimum wage, but I want to be able to train somebody coming out of prison in truck driving, and hire them to drive these Super 10 dump trucks and make lucrative money for themselves and for their families and for the community.
So, Nate, one of the things that a lot of people may be interested in finding out is how could they contact you to learn more about your program and maybe partnering up, but to find out more on a personal level, your story?
Well, I have a website. It is choicesforfreedom.org. I have a personal email, which is nate@choicesforfreedom.org. Social media, Choice for Freedom. There's all type of ways to contact me, and my Instagram, my Facebook. You can see all the works I've done since I've been out, and currently what I'm doing right now.
So, in the nonprofit field, what have you learned about yourself?
I've learned to have patience with everything because we all come home. We want these things fast, but that's what led us to prison, and we learned patience inside prison. So it would have to be that.
So, when you speak to these youth, right, what is it that you want them to know about themselves?
I want them to know that I was once a youth, and I've been in those same seats that they're sitting in, and I tell my story to them, share my story, and they identify with it, and I get them to talk and identify their trauma. I talk about my trauma, and it opens the door for them to share theirs. And once they share theirs, I can really see what's needed for them. Where's the help? What type of education, or whether it's getting a job, or whether it's just checking in with them every week, once a week. Give them my card, call me when you get out, and I'm there.
Well, that's good because a lot of times that's all a person wants is somebody to be able to communicate with. I can recall, growing up myself, not having a father figure, and I used that as an excuse to find what I wanted attention-wise in the streets. So, what you're doing is tremendously good. It will help people because you might not gonna be able to reach everybody, but as long as you can reach at least one person, then you did your job. So, Nate, there's something I have to ask you, right? A lot of times, when individuals were incarcerated, right, they seen people fake it till they make it. What makes you different from those people?
Fake it till you make it. I would say that I have lived experience, and I do this because I have a passion for it. It's not even about the money with me, because I've been in situations where I've had to tell, matter of fact, I had to tell the mayor of San Francisco that it hurt me that I was working with this one nonprofit and they lost their funding. And I said, I didn't ever want to be in that position to whereas I lose any funding, because these relationships that I build with these kids, one, most of these kids have been let down by men. Some of them don't have fathers, and the system have let them down. And I don't want to be the person that have to go back and say, hey, I can't service you because I don't have funding. I always need people to believe in me, to believe in what I do, and my actions speaks louder than words, of what I do, Well,
I want to thank you, Mr. Nate Williams, for coming on the
bro.
Close the Deal show.
Yeah.
And I reassure you, someone is going to reach out to you to help you finish up closing that deal and getting that office space.
Thank you.
Before we close this deal, always remember, when you watch this show, it's not so much about the stories you hear, but it's a lot to deal with how we communicate and network within our own communities. So always reflect that when you share your experience, we all benefit. So this is why I'm suggesting questions or even want to apply to be a guest on the show. Reach out to the Close the Deal Show, www.theclosethedealshow.com. And remember, San Francisco Bay Area viewers, you can find us every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. on Cable Comcast Channel 29. But you can also find us in LA on Pasadena Media real soon. Worldwide, you can find the Close the Deal Show on YouTube. Just type my name, Terrence McCray, and click this picture. Please subscribe, like, and comment on your favorite episode. Take good care, everyone, and don't forget, find the right connection and close the deal. 26 minutes and 5 seconds.
That's all.